Marhaba, my name is Megan and welcome to Wanderlust Voyages. We are here to tell you all about Morocco, from the culture to the cities to the cuisine. If you would like to learn more about Morocco, please be sure to like this video and subscribe, hitting the notification bell to be notified whenever we upload a new video. So today, as I mentioned last time, I am going to show you how to make Msemen. If you've ever been to Morocco, you have probably had Msemen. It is a standard part of breakfast and it is absolutely delicious. You'll often hear Msemen referred to as a Moroccan pancake or a Moroccan crepe. However, it is very not crepe-like. It is a lot thicker. It's made from a combination of regular all-purpose flour and semolina flour. And it is then folded over several times to give it this nice layered structure. And then it is pan fried. It is amazing. It's typically eaten with sweet condiments, but you can certainly make it savory if you would like. It's wonderful for breakfast, for a snack, as part of a Ramadan iftar. And it is something that keeps very well in the freezer. Quick note, I did mention it uses semolina. This is very important. You don't really want to substitute anything else. I've tried that. It is not at all the same. I've even had times where I've accidentally added too much water, so then I had to add more flour. But that was too much all-purpose flour, and it made the taste come out just a little bit wrong. You really need that semolina to get the correct flavor and texture. So you can find semolina, of course, in most grocery stores. Maybe check with the natural flours. Bob's Red Mill has one, and you can also, of course, find it on Amazon. Another quick note, it looks very much like cornmeal. Do not try to substitute cornmeal. It's not the same. It's not going to give you the same chewy texture. And of course, this recipe is in our Moroccan Sweets cookbook because it is such a standard, especially for Ramadan. I will leave the link to it in the description below. And without further ado, let's get to the kitchen. Okay, so making the Msemen is actually pretty simple. It's just a little bit time consuming. We're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of semolina flour, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of yeast, and 2 teaspoons of salt. We're also going to need between 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 cups warm water. You don't want it hot or it will kill your yeast. You don't want it too cold or it will not activate your yeast. We're also going to need a little bit of extra semolina, and then 1/4 cup of butter and 1/4 cup of olive oil for the shaping. So let's get started. We're just going to start by putting our dry ingredients into a large mixing bowl. And I just use my hands. If you want to use the whisk, whatever, but just give it a quick little stir. You just want them mixed up nicely. And now we're going to add the water. Again, a lot of people do this by hand. That's how they typically make it in Morocco, but I like to use my stand mixer. So we're going to add the water slowly, making sure that we don't add too much. And we want to knead it for about 8 to 10 minutes. We really want to get a very smooth dough out of this. So let's get that started, and I will see you in 10 minutes. All right, it has been about 8 minutes. One of the 2 keys to Msemen is that you do not want to skimp on the kneading. We really need to get a nice, smooth, elastic dough. You also don't want to skimp on letting it rest, because once we let it rest, that's what's going to allow us to spread it out nice and thin and not just have it spring back. So As you're kneading, of course, add more flour if you need to, because you don't want it to be sticky. So once it's done, you want to divide this into 8 pieces. If you want smaller, then you can make more pieces. If you want larger, of course, make fewer. Then we're going to just roll it in a ball, set it in a lightly oiled plate, and then we're going to cover this with plastic wrap and a towel, and we're going to let this rest for 30 minutes. Again, resting time is crucial to making these. And of course, you don't want it to be tightly wrapped, because as it rises, you don't want the gases actually trapped in there. So we'll cover it with a towel, and we will see you in 30 minutes. Okay, so our dough has rested, and as you can see, it has also risen a little bit. Now we need to do the first shaping of the dough. So we have our butter and olive oil, melted butter, olive oil mixed together. And what we're going to do is we're just going to spread a little bit of that on the table. Make sure your table is very clean. And working with one dough at a time, you can see how nice and light and fluffy that is. Make sure both of your hands are well oiled, and you're just going to press it out. You want this to be really, really thin. And if you did not let it rest long enough, you will find that as you try to do this, it just goes zoop. So you want it thin. It's okay if it gets a little tear. You can also, you should start to be seeing the work surface beneath your dough. That's how thin you want it to be. So you want it even, you want it tissue thin, and then you're going to just put some butter and oil all over the top, and then you want that extra semolina just sprinkled over it. Now you want to fold it in thirds, kind of like you're folding a letter. 1/3 down, 1/3 up. Once again, brush it with the butter and oil, sprinkle it with semolina, and once more in thirds. So now we just repeat for all of these. Once you're done, you're going to cover them back up with the plastic wrap and towel, and you're going to let them rest for another 15 minutes. Again, this is very important. If you do not let them rest, you're not going to be able to stretch them out again. So I will finish this up and see you back. All right, that is our last square. So we're just going to cover them back up, let them rest, and I'll see you back here in 15 minutes. All right, it has been another 15 minutes. We have let these rest, and now what we need to do is spread them out. So use a bit more of your butter and oil. You'll see they have risen a bit more. And what we want to do is just press them and turn them from a small fluffy square to a larger flat square. Now, I also have a cast iron pan heating over medium heat. When you are doing these, if you have a large cast iron griddle, you can cook maybe 2 of them at a time, but I usually just do 1. So what I will do is get 1 in the pan, and then while that's cooking, stretch the next one, and then while that's cooking, stretch the next one. Because if you do all of them, they are going to take time and shrink back, and they're also going to dry out a little bit. So that is about the thickness that we want it. We're going to keep these covered, and let's go over to the pan. All right, so I have some oil in the pan. You can hear that nice sizzle. We want it to be nice and hot because it's so thin it does cook rather quickly, much like a pancake. And we want to have those little nice darker golden bits as well. I also have a paper towel lined plate at the ready so that when it's done I can drain them. One thing to keep in mind, you don't need to spread them out when they are finished. It is better just to stack them one on top of the other. It helps keep them nice and soft. So we're going to give this about a minute or 2 to cook on one side. Then we're going to flip it over and cook it on the other side. You can see it is starting to puff up a little bit, and a bit of a crust is starting to form. So let's take a quick peek. Almost. Starting to get golden, but it's still a little too soft. All right, a little pale still, so I'll probably cook the other side just a bit more to help even it out. But this is not something that you want to keep flipping back and forth. Try to just flip once. So we're going to give it a couple more minutes and we'll be done. In the meantime, I'm going to get another one ready. All right, let's take a look. Looks good. And let me cook up the rest of them. All right, our Msemen is all done. When you serve it, you can serve it with butter, with honey, with cream cheese. One of the very popular ways is spread some cream cheese on it, roll it up, drizzle it with honey, and cut it into slices. You can also just eat it plain. A lot of people like amlou with it. And my personal favorite is to eat it with avocado and hot sauce. It's also great kept in the freezer. So when it cools, wrap it in foil, put that in a plastic bag and keep it in the freezer. When you're ready, you can take it straight out of the freezer and into a pan on the stove to thaw and warm it. It is delicious. I hope you will try it. If you have tried Msemen, please drop a comment and let me know what your favorite way to eat it is. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll join me next time. Bon appetit!